and welcome to Ultra Life Today. My name is Adam Payne. I'm CEO and host of Ultra Life Today. We've had the benefit in the past of being able to talk to one of the leading experts in botanicals and the growth, the harvesting, the identification, and the overall knowledge base of botanicals. One of my, I think, dear friend and one of the best guys I know in the field, literally right now in the field, Ed Fletcher. Ed, welcome back.
Hey, Adam. Thank you. Pleasure to be back. Yeah, I am in the field in the edge of the woods here. We're in North Carolina mountains where a lot of these medicinals we're talking about growing. So glad to be here.
So over the last couple of months, we've talked about American ginseng. We've talked about golden seal.
Right.
We talked about black cohosh.
Right.
Boy, and we've learned so much about. I think what really got me. I met you at a botanical drug conference out in Mississippi in March. Can you imagine it was March of this year?
It was.
That's
yes, it was.
already
right.
over 6 months ago. It seems like time just flies. And what got me at the conference, Ed, was that there are so many unscrupulous botanical ingredient suppliers out there in the marketplace that are, what do you call it, falsifying or producing what do you call it when they're producing not the real thing? They're
it's adulterated.
faking it, they're adulterated. That's it. Yeah, it's an adulterated compound. And what really got me and what started our conversation, besides me falling on my back while playing bowling and you helping to carry me out of the bowling alley, was that's a whole story in and of itself. Was that whole discussion around golden seal, that the supply of golden seal is only 25% of the overall market. And we talked about that in the episode we talked about golden seal. So I'm really grateful to have you back. It's always such a fascinating discussion. Ed, what are we going to talk about today?
Well, we're going to talk about Eupatorium perfoliatum, boneset. Boneset is an herb that's been used. Yes, it's got a good history, a long history, being used for a lot of different things. It's known for its diaphoretic uses, and it also was used extensively in the 1918 flu epidemic to help people perspire and break the fever, to sort of break through the fever and get through their episodes faster and everything. So it's got a good long history. It's native here to the eastern U.S. It actually grows as far south as Florida. It grows up into Nova Scotia also, but it doesn't grow not quite in the thickness of the woods that you see behind me here. It grows more in the open pastures and the edge of the woods or the open woods. But it's a very unique herb. It's been used for many, many different reasons and for a long time too.
Boneset seems to have it's a Native American herb.
Yes.
So this is something that was it didn't come from Europe to the United States.
No,
it was found here, and it was used in the Native American pharmacopoeia.
Yes, it was. Exactly. No, it's a true native North American herb. It sure is.
Now, I'm reading, you sent me a little kind of cheat sheet here.
Yeah.
The tea is used to induce sweating in fevers, flu, and colds. Yes. So why would you want to do that?
Well, when you get a fever, mainly when what they call you break a fever, that's when you sweat. That's when you your body does its natural reaction to handle that and take care of it. And that's, like when I feel bad and I go to bed, and when I break a sweat, I feel like, okay, now I'm on the downhill side. It's helped me to get over it. So I believe it helps trigger your body's natural response to whatever's causing your fever or
You know what? You're right. I mean, did you know that, what is it called? Tylenol or acetaminophen also has that same kind of reaction in people. If they have a fever, it actually induces a sweat reaction, which cools the body down and creates, I guess, breaking the fever as it is.
Right.
Interesting.
Yeah, breaks the fever. That's exactly what it's for. That's one of
So
the
is
other
this
names that
available?
they talk about. Yeah.
What's that?
Is they call it break bone fever. That's another one of the common names that were used for bone set is break bone fever because that's what it helps break it. And you know when you have those aching, I think the bone set they talk about when you really have those achings down into the deepness of your bones. That's why it talks about
Yeah.
it helps you break that fever and relieves that aching.
It's also called thoroughwort. I
Yes.
guess is a less common name.
Yes.
So tell us about the plant. Where is it found, and how can people find it?
Yeah. Well, it grows natively. It's in the composite family, and it grows natively out in the open fields or in some not densely shaded woods, but it likes semi-moist environment. It's not that hard to grow. We grow it quite easily, and it gets about 4 to 6 feet tall, depending on how much sunlight you get and how much water. But it's a beautiful white bloom. We have some ornamentally around the house, and we also grow it for the medicinal uses for the herb. And it's the aerial portion that's used. You cut above ground, all the aerial portion when it's in bloom, and it's so that's very sustainable in the fact you just cut it and it keeps coming back. It's perennial. It returns every year.
That's very interesting.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to take a moment here to turn off all of my notifications because they're causing sounds here. Give me 1 second.
Okay, no problem.
Okay, come on. All right, there we go. And I'm back. Sorry about that.
That's all right.
So you're harvesting it when it's in full bloom, and you're taking all the aerial parts above the ground. Do you just keep the leaves, or is it everything kind of chopped up into whatever the botanical material is?
Yeah, I mean it's most of the material we provide is whole herb aerial portion, which includes the stem. I have had customers that only wanted the leaf and the bloom, which is changes the pricing quite a bit because obviously the stem on the plant is what gives it weight. And when you sell something by the pound, yeah, you're losing about 60% of the weight when you take the stem out. So generally speaking, it's the whole herb, and it all has the effect. It's just a matter of how strong you want it to be. And we sell that either in a cut form or even to a powdered form to some of our customers that use it in some of you are going to use it in extract, or some are going to use it in a powder form, a lot of capsules and pills.
Do you know which companies actually make a product using this material?
Well, there's several. There's you caught me off the top of my head. I know Nature's Sunshine has a product from it. I know.
Okay.
I can't think of the other companies, but there's several companies that do have products. I do know in the last few years, this is something that we probably should mention, that with the new emphasis on the intake of pyrazonyl alkaloids, PAs, that Europe has discussed about, there's been several companies pull back from using a lot of bone set because it does contain an amount of PAs. But, there's been a lot of work done on that. It's proven that most of us, PAs are in a lot of things. They're in a lot of different plants. As a matter of fact, honey has the highest PAs of any plant or any food that most of us consume. And we eat a lot of honey. So most people enjoy their honey or sweetener in some kind of honey. So anyway, it is the companies are addressing that in the way they make it, and they test for PAs to make sure there's not an overdose of PAs in their system when they dosage their product. So it's still a good usage. You just have to be careful not overdose it.
So yeah, and maybe we can address the pyrrolizidine alkaloids,
You got it. Okay,
pyrrolizidine alkaloids. I
that's it.
guess those have been studied for their potential to affect or harm liver function.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
so,
Too many.
and this is too much of it can actually cause liver damage.
Yes.
But the doses that normally people would get with bone set shouldn't be that high, and any company
No.
that's using it will be testing for the levels of PAs, pyrrolizidine alkaloids within the botanical product.
Yeah. And so when
Do
they put
do
their
company
dosage on the bottle, that's one thing to always pay attention to. Just like in a pharmaceutical product you take, tells you when to take it, how often, and how many. Same thing on a dietary supplement. It follow the dosage on the bottle.
what was the name of the company that you thought might have it? Let me take a look at online for them for just a second here.
Okay. Yeah, Nature's Sunshine I know makes a product with bone set. And there's several others too, and there's some in different teas. I don't know the tea brands off the top of my head.
Let's see. Nature Sunshine. They got a lot of stuff.
Oh yeah,
Horseradish.
yeah,
Bone
they've been
set.
around a long time.
Extractive bone set. Yeah. So they have a product called Seasonal Allergy, formerly
Yeah.
ALJ liquid, and its main ingredient is bone set extract. Also
Okay.
fenugreek seed, horseradish, mullein leaves, fennel seed, and vegetable glycerin. I guess that's just a carrier. That's very interesting.
Yeah.
Oh, and that's it. They so they have that one product there. Ed, so how did you get involved in working on bone set?
Bone set. Well, when I was with the previous company, they came to me. One of the customers wanted bone set, and they asked me about cultivating, and I said, sure, it's easy to grow. So we just started growing it and supplying it. And I would say majority of the bone set still comes from the wild because it's so sustainable. Just because you harvest the aerial portion and it grows back, but there are some smaller cultivation projects of it just to have a more steady supply. Because anytime you get something out of the wild, the weather may change the supply from year to year. So it just depends. But we've been supplying it to companies for probably 25 to 30 years.
Wow! So it's a pretty steady staple for people that have been using it, and it's probably
Yes.
still a part of naturopaths are probably using it and carrying it in their pharmacopoeia. Well, let's go have a look at the plant and take a look and see how this stuff is harvested and what it looks like.
Okay.
Our mission is to take nature's most beloved botanicals and enhance them with our liquid protein scaffold technology. This helps it reach your cells faster and better. With exponentially enhanced bioavailability, you'll feel better every day. Ultra Botanica, the feel-good curcumin.
So anyway, this is here's the bone set. There's the bloom. It's not quite fully opened up, but it's got a beautiful white umbel bloom on top.
That's beautiful.
And you can see, yeah, it is. And you can see the name Perfoliatum is a species name. As you can see, I think I'm showing you the right place. See how the leaves, the stem seems to just perforate right through the leaf there? You see
Yep.
right in the center? It looks
Is
like
that
the
why it's
stem
called
is just
perforatum?
sticking right. That's it, exactly. That's why the name. There's another better picture. The leaves just seem to join together, and it says that it perforates the stalk. So that's why it's called Perfoliatum. Exactly. But it is beautiful. In another 2 weeks, these will be fully opened up. I could send you a better photo of the blooms, but they're just getting ready to open up. So it's a nice, beautiful plant this time of year. Yeah.
How many pounds do you harvest on an annual basis, Ed, or is that a trade secret?
No, it's not. It's probably between 8 to 10,000 pounds average.
Whoa.
That's the
Wow.
dry herb. Yeah.
That's a lot of plant material.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, it is. Considering that the fresh to dry ratio is about 3.5 to 1. So in other words, when I harvest this plant, if I get 3 pounds, it'll dry down to about 1 pound. You know?
So you're going to have about 18,000 of those then, or not 18,000?
Yep, right.
Well, how many pounds did you say? About 1,800 pounds.
8 to 10,000 pounds of dry material.
That's a lot.
Yeah, it is. That is a lot. You're right.
Wow. That's a lot of plant material.
It is. But again, it's very sustainable because it's just the aerial portion and it's usually harvested. It can be harvested after the bloom, but we always let it finish blooming or in full bloom and then collect the seeds, but it's always going to return from the roots.
That's great. Now during we were just talking before the broadcast. I'm in the tail end of being sick with COVID here. This is yesterday. I was lying in bed miserable, and today, after taking all the botanicals that I have and some prescription drugs that my doctor recommended, I'm actually feeling human today, which I'm really grateful for. I wasn't looking forward to a long period of being sick. I think I was overseas, and
no,
you'll find this interesting, Ed. I was looking at a plantation in Vietnam where we're looking at acquiring a factory over there that focuses on Krillum latifolium. I don't know if you're familiar with the Krilla latifolium species. There's a company over in Vietnam. There's actually a researcher over in Vietnam that found a specific species that was used in the Vietnamese pharmacopoeia and was reserved by royalty to treat uterine fibroids and prostatitis. And so they they have their own. I was at the plantation, and we saw how they're growing about 40 hectares of Krilla latifolium, and they're harvesting the aerial portions on a 45-day cycle, and then they dry that down, and then they do either a water or a water ethanolic extraction on it, and then doing a fluid bed dryer to get the final dried primary extract. And it's been working. So we're acquiring the factory because it's the only compound that we found anywhere in the world that addresses uterine fibroids. But it's a beautiful plant. It's an absolutely beautiful process.
Wow.
And
awesome.
And we're going to want to get you over there to take a look at what they're doing to see if you can give us any ideas for improving the quality of the harvest and the yield that we have going on over there at some point.
Okay.
Won't be in the near future.
Sure, I'd love to. Yeah, that's right down my alley. That's why I enjoy many places I've been able to go and help them efficientize the propagation or the cultivation and it's such a shame, Adam. You see so many farmers or even producers produce a crop or grow a crop, but they don't address the post-harvest handling. The aspects of each species is different, and you can ruin your whole years of harvest and your production just by non-applicable post-harvest handling. So that's very important. Yes.
So with my COVID, Ed, I was wondering, did people try using Bone Set for their COVID infections?
I did.
You did.
So I'm assuming some other people did. I'm not. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah, I did. And I was able to get over it really fast. Like you, I was about 3 days I felt not the top. And then I had foggy brain for a few days after that. But, I'm pretty sure I'm not the only one that used Bone Set because it helped. Again, I felt like it just helped my body's natural process to get over it.
Yeah, so there's that concept of like you get sick and you get a fever, and then whenever I'm breaking the fever, I pour out sweat. It's like I wake up in a puddle of sweat. Right. And it's kind of my body saying
that's your body's natural process.
kind of dumping everything out, right? And
Yes,
cooling myself down and doing all that stuff. It's really
that's right.
interesting.
Yeah, it makes sense to me.
Yeah, we're not naturopaths, but we certainly have been through it a couple of times, I would imagine.
Exactly. Exactly.
So how do you prepare a natural kind of concoction of bone set?
Well, if I'm going to make a tea, I'll just cut some of the leaf off and dry it, crumble it up, and just put some hot water over it and make a tea out of it. I'd rather have it in a tea as opposed to a capsule, but I do take some of the tablets also if I have a fever.
How much of the how many grams of the leaves do you use to make the tea?
About 60 to 80 grams, and I make about
so it's pretty intense.
Yeah, but it's short term. It's not, that's one thing, again, as far as with the PAs being concerned about that. I'm not going to do that every day. It's not a daily dosage. Just like golden seal, they don't suggest taking golden seal on a daily basis, but for, just for a short period of time and those kind of doses to help what ails you, I think it's not a problem, and your body's able to handle that.
Yeah, it certainly helps to regulate, if it can help us help our immune system to regulate. And I've also read in some literature that they'll use bone set as a poultice over different kinds of boils or tumors. Have you heard that too?
Yes, I sure have. And poultices were how I was introduced into this. My grandmother used to put a poultice on me for pleurisy and different sores and things. And I'm not sure if she used bone set in there or not, but I think poultices are an underutilized application to get something, particularly on the outside of your, to me, instead of taking a pill that has to go in your body and find where it needs to go to help it, a poultice, particularly if you have something on your skin, our skin is our biggest organ anyway, but it's particularly if you can put it directly on what ails you, like on a sore place on your elbow or something, as opposed to taking something or to support it. I think poultices are underutilized, in my opinion.
So for the benefit of our audience that might not know what this ancient medical term is, could you help explain what a poultice is for people?
Well, a poultice is simply I won't say a concoction, that doesn't sound right, but anyway, an emulsification, I guess you would say, of maybe some herbs and some milk or something. I know my grandmother, the way she I had pleurisy one time when I was very young, and she said, my lungs were hurting, when you were breathing. Pleurisy is the infection of the lining of your lungs, and it's hard to get a deep breath because every time you breathe, it feels like sandpaper. Yeah.
Yeah.
She said, go out and dig the butterfly weed, which is the other common name for pleurisy root. Asclepias tuberosa is a botanical name. Go out and dig the butterfly weed. It's a beautiful orange plant that attracts butterflies. So I dug up the root. I took it into her. She put it up on the pot on the stove, and she poured some honey. She poured some molasses or something, and then she stirred it and heated it up for a while. And then she took that and put it on a cloth, a cotton cloth or something, and then just attached it to my side, wrapped it around me, and tied a big bandage with a T-shirt or something around my side. So it's basically just the whatever you make out of it, what do you call it? The media, not the media, but the substance that you make by mixing the products together, and then you just apply it directly to your skin on the part that ails you. And we put it right around my chest here, and overnight I woke up the next morning, I was fine.
So it's essentially a direct application to the skin of the botanical ingredients, sometimes with a carrier or so the honey or the molasses was like a carrier. Must have felt a little sticky or weird on the skin, but it helped it to stick to the skin and absorb all the nutrients.
Sure,
I guess it's transdermal botanicals.
That's it. No, that's it. Yeah, that's it.
That's it. Yeah.
Exactly.
Well, so I guess bone set has a whole bunch of different applications. Using it in a powdered form or an extracted form, in tablets or liquids, like what we saw with, I guess that one company, Nature's Sunshine, and then we have a tea using 60 to 80 grams of the dried leaf material that could be used for people that want to break a fever or get over a bad cold or a bad sickness. And then a poultice, which is really an interesting thing. Obviously, you'd want to do any of these things only under the advisement of a naturopath or an integrated physician or somebody, I guess, acupuncturists and other people that have medical licenses that are allowed to prescribe these kinds of things. But I just find it fascinating learning so much about these botanical substances. I knew nothing about bone set until you brought it up the other day, and now I feel like you've opened a whole new world for me, Ed.
Well, good. I'm glad, Adam. I think that's what we're here to do, share what we know with those who are looking to see.
Yep. All right. Well, Ed, it's been a pleasure having you. Any ideas for next time?
Well, like I told you, we're having our American ginseng and our golden seal harvests next month, and I'll be on site. So if we have the chance, be glad. I invite you and your audience to come along with us to harvest our ginseng and golden seal.
Oh, that would be fun. I think let's do that. Yeah. So when you're up in the field, let me know, and we'll catch you out there and share the wonders of harvesting golden seal and ginseng with everybody.
Thank you.
Ed, thank you so much
Adam.
for joining us.
You bet.
Yeah, have a great day. Yeah,
you
take
too.
care.
Bye-bye.